Connie Briscoe is a well-known best-selling author from the early days of us being in the book business when we first got online with our books and when we had the bookstore and all that. So she's been writing for over 20 years
Over
and being
30.
published successfully. Well, because I didn't know about that part. I didn't know about before I knew you. So
That's
she's
before your time. Okay, yeah, I get it.
but she has a new book out. It's called
Yay!
Chloe. It's called Chloe. It just came out recently. And we're going to have a trivia question regarding Chloe because this book is going to be given away to a viewer. So, Connie, welcome back because you were on
Thank
with
you.
your last book. Welcome back to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, great to have you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
tell us about Chloe and um
Um,
is Chloe
well,
the
that,
main character in the book? Because it seemed like it was someone else. So just tell us about Chloe, the book Chloe, and what made you come up with the concept that you did.
well, one of my favorite books, actually, I would have to say favorite films, although the film is based on a book. It's called Rebecca. And I think I read the novel Rebecca years ago, maybe in my 20s or before. It actually came out in about the 1930s. And, I read it, put it aside. It was just a good book. And years later, I think Hitchcock did a film based on the book. I saw that years later. Thought nothing of it at the time. I don't even think I was writing at that time. And then about 5 years ago, Netflix did another adaptation. There have been a number of adaptations over the years. And at that time, I was searching for my next project after You Never Know, which was my first domestic suspense. And seeing that Netflix film, Rebecca, it kind of grabbed me in a number of ways, and I began to think of it as my next project, with a lot of revisions, of course, because whereas that novel, the thing that I think the thing that interested me the most, that appealed to me the most, was the fact that even though it doesn't center on this, there's a big thing about different class differences, social differences, economic differences. And I thought that that would lend itself well to the Black community. Initially, I started to make it more about racial differences, but I decided not to get into that. I decided to stick to an all-Black cast and to focus among the social and economic differences within the Black community. And I think the project Rebecca kind of lended itself very well to that because it's basically about a young woman. In the case of Chloe, the novel I wrote, a young woman who is a private chef on the island of Martha's Vineyard for a family who is sort of well off. And during that time, she has all these skirmishes with the owner of the estate that she works for, because like a lot of often happens in the community, when you have a little bit more money or better status, you think you're better than other people. And so we're playing with that dynamic in the beginning. But the main point is that she meets a billionaire on the island, and she thinks she's met her dream. I don't know if you've ever been to Martha's Vineyard, but you have all kinds of. And that was another thing that was appealing to me because it allowed me to use the island of Martha's Vineyard, which I had been visiting for a number of years. And on that island, you tend to see all the different class differences. It has a strong, vibrant Black population where you see all the different class differences. And so she meets this wealthy Black billionaire, and they have this whirlwind romance. And then he whisks her off to his private estate, Riverwild in Potomac. And although she thinks she's met, the man of her dreams, what she realizes as she goes from Martha's Vineyard to Potomac is that she's probably walked into something more like a nightmare than a dream.
Mm.
All sorts of
Okay.
issues. Mhm.
All right, I'm
Okay.
loving this already.
Yeah, I'm it's intriguing to me that books are now based on Black billionaires. as a central character.
Got some.
Yeah, I just finished reading another book that had a black billionaire as a major character.
We
Um,
finally got a few. We didn't have any for the longest time.
right, right. But now it's not
And
just
I
men.
love the fact that we're changing the conversation, that
Yeah,
we can talk about black billionaires and it can be a realistic story
yeah.
because we
That's
have a
what
lot
I'm
of them
saying.
now.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not a lot. A lot.
Well, there's
I'll say
enough.
we have a lot compared to what we used to have.
Right. And some that are not actually there, but close to being there. You know,
Right.
we're
Yeah.
right on the edge. So um that's
Which I think
interesting.
is really ridiculous. Why should there be any billionaires in the world, black or white? But if there are going to be some, at least we do finally have a few black ones.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with uh technology and being on the ground floor of something when it takes off and you having some,
Yes.
equity and it goes public. That's really
Hmm.
that's
And
a
that's
lot of
true
people.
for black billionaires too. They're generally in the technology or the financial sector rather
Hmm.
than sports or
Yeah, you're
entertainment or
not
things.
manufacturing. It's more like communications or,
Yeah.
like with Oprah, she's, it's technology really has allowed the wealth to
Yeah, I don't
explode.
think I thought I heard you say, Connie, that you don't feel there should. Did you say there shouldn't be any billionaires?
Why? I mean, why do you need that much money? You can't spend that much money. Fortunately, there are a few of them, like I can't think of her name, Bill Gates' wife, who are giving away a large part of these huge fortunes. But other than that, what do you do with $1 billion? And most billionaires don't have $1 billion. They have multiple billion dollars, sometimes in the five hundreds of billions of dollars. No, and then when there's so much poverty in the world and so many people who don't have anything, there's so much starvation, and yet you have these concentrated wealth among a few billionaires. It seems kind of ridiculous.
Well, I hear what you're saying. I think that when a person's making money, and I'm not going to tell them what to do with their money, but I do
Yeah.
agree that when people do have that much money, I like to see them do things for the community. Whether that's building schools, building communities. Social Book Club just mentioned homeless people. There are people who are finding ways to help people that way.
Mhm.
But then there are other people who have billions and they don't know what to do with their money. And I'm not going to say any names, but there are people who are just doing crazy things with their money. But it's their money. I don't
Absolutely.
begrudge anybody for
Earn money,
making
yeah.
money. I I just hope that they're using it for a good purpose. I'll just say it that way. And then
And
they're also
especially in our
setting up their
community, we
kids and their
need to
children's
spread it
kids.
a bit. But
Yeah.
they earned it. They have the right. I'm not going to take that away from them. They have the right to do what they want with it. It's just nice to see them use it for purposes to give back to the community.
Yeah, you know, like Rhonda said, it's kind of like a slippery slope. You can't stop people from making money. And
No,
once they make it, they get to decide what they're going to do with it.
no,
But
exactly.
it is nice to see people doing something altruistic with it, truly altruistic, with their money. But it's their money, and they've been you
That's a,
really can't make
that's a
them
whole
do.
other topic
Can't
because
make,
I've
and
read in the
that's a
books
whole
of it.
other topic. You can't make them
Yeah.
do anything.
No,
You can't make.
that may be something. That may be a book. We may be talking
It
about it.
could be.
A
Yeah.
nonfiction book.
It could
But
be.
like I said, I do like the fact that you featured a black billionaire in your
Hmm.
book because it changes the conversation. I think that we as a whole need to see ourselves as successful.
It's,
We need to stop making the jokes and stop glamorizing being being poor. I mean, there are poor people in the world, and nothing wrong with that. But I think sometimes we glamorize the struggle, and we think that that's synonymous with being black. And I think we need to change that conversation. So I do like the fact that you chose to highlight a black billionaire in your book. And then Martha's Vineyard is one of my dream places to visit. I'm going to get there in the next year or so. I'm going to get there.
Have you been
But
there at all?
I'm
Have you
sorry.
have you been there at all?
I've never been there. I
Oh,
really, really,
no,
really want to go. And I
you can
know
see a
it's a
little of
symbol of
everything on the
black
island. Yes.
excellence.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to go. But yeah, we finally have um, all economic classes represented
Yes.
among our
Hmm.
population, and that is kind of what I was trying to show in Chloe.
Hmm.
A lot of times, what happens is your socioeconomic class or the amount of money you have doesn't necessarily depict how you interact with people. For example, in Chloe, you have, especially in the house once they reach Riverwald, you have Ida who actually works for Chloe, but because she's been the brother of Everett, the billionaire, the sister of Everett, for years, she seems to think that she's superior to Angel, and so she sort of acts outside of her socioeconomic status. And that is one of the things I was trying to show how if you're connected to wealth, if you somehow are close to wealth, you tend to think that it gives you the right to act a certain way or to lord it over um, other people. Fortunately, Angel finally finds her voice. But yeah, that was the reason why Rebecca appealed to me. It deals with so many of these class and socioeconomic issues, and I wanted to depict them in the Black community because there certainly are issues within our community.
Now you said Hitchcock did an adaptation of it. Was it called Rebecca? Was the name of
The
the film the Hitchcock film?
Yes,
Was it called? It was called
Hitchcock
Rebecca.
film was Rebecca. The book by Daphne du Maurier was Rebecca, and then
Okay,
a more modern adaptation in the last 5 years was also called Rebecca. They were all called
Okay.
Rebecca.
I hadn't heard about that Hitchcock one. I thought I had heard of all the major Hitchcock films, so I missed that one.
Yeah, well, this one was on Netflix for a while. I'm not sure it's still on Netflix. It was on there until a couple of years ago, at least. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out because I'm on different streamings, and then sometimes once you start binging something,
Right.
you're on that one until you finish. And I've been on Hulu for the last couple months, binging ER, which has 15 seasons, and so that's taking me a while. I'm almost done though.
Oh,
But
okay. Well,
Mama
uh,
Tony said, with Tony Bonita, I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's a well-known book enthusiast, and she has a book club in Florida, and she goes to a lot of book events, and she has her own uh it's her own Zoom where she talks about books. But she said that her favorite book of yours is PG County.
is which one? PG County.
PG County.
That's
And
my favorite of a lot of
a lot
people.
of people. Uh-huh.
And you may be hearing more about that book in the future.
Really?
I'm hopeful.
Okay.
There's
Do
a lot
tell.
going on with that book uh,
Okay.
behind the scenes over the past couple of years. So, yeah, PG County is popular among a lot of people. We'll see. I may have more news, more good news about that book in the near future. I have a blog on Substack called Behind the Chapters, and I write a little bit about what is happening with PG County. It has been optioned by major studio, and it has the
Okay.
backing of a major um, entertainer, entertainment
Wonderful.
star, I guess you could
Okay.
call it. And
That's
she wants to
wonderful.
make it into a film. I'm not ready to divulge who it is yet, but it is for PG County A&E Networks on well, we're not sure where it will air yet. It's been bouncing around the different venues, but yes, they want to make it, I think, it into a multiple episode television series.
Okay.
We'll
Well,
see.
that's a great title that
What does
really
that?
trans would
Well,
translate well.
I have no control of that. I hope PG County, I mean, it has a built-in audience.
Yeah, right.
I
Right. That's what I'm saying.
don't know what they'll end
It's
up with.
it's catchy. it's like Dallas or,
Yeah,
it's a show where you immediately can tap into what it means. It says something, it has a connotation that people are familiar with.
Right,
Uh,
and that's what I was going to say. Prince George's County, that's the county I live in as well. And it's the county, it's known around the country as the place where Black excellence is,
Black Mecca.
where your well-to-do Black people are. So many people want to live
Mm.
in PG County.
I lived there for a while, for a number of years. We eventually moved back out to Columbia, Maryland. But yes, Prince George's County is where you go when you, as a Black person, when you've arrived. You live in PG County, yes. And we
It's
have
true.
PG County. I mean, you have inside the Beltway is a whole different world from further and further out the Beltway. We have all different people represented in PG County, which I tried to show in the book too. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
yeah,
Well, I hope it happens. I think that it's exciting, and just the fact that a major person in the industry is even looking at it
Yeah, it'll help
is
a
grounds for
lot.
congratulations anyway.
Yeah, I've done this a couple of times before with other books, and that one that was very promising, and it just didn't happen. For everyone that makes it to the screen, you've got dozens that don't. But
right.
this
Even
one,
if
being
they're
like you
options.
said, being represented by major talent is a huge help.
Yeah. I wonder um what the catalyst is for pulling the trigger on some of the option projects. Like what makes the people behind it say, okay, now's the time. I'm just musing right
It's
now.
complicated from, yeah, I don't know much, but what I do know is that a lot of strings are being pulled, and you got to, it used to be called the green light. You had to get the green
Yeah.
light. I don't know if you call it that anymore.
Right.
Um, but I don't know. I've never gotten the green light.
Well,
I'm
you're
good.
not alone in terms of
No.
having a novel optioned and not getting the green light. I know a lot of authors that that's happened for, but it's an honor to get the option because they do, you know, they do.
But
The
the
option does
option,
come with financing, so that's a good thing.
yeah. Yeah. Keep your fingers crossed for me. We'll see.
So, Chloe, is your which book is this number book?
Oh, this I think is the 12th book. It's the ninth novel, and it's the second domestic suspense novel. Um, I wrote two nonfiction and one novella, and then the nine novels. And this may be the last one too. I'm not going to say 100%. I said it before.
Wait, last
Back
one as
up.
in forever?
Mhm. And
Last one as in forever, or last one with this series, with
it
this
may
type of book?
be. We'll see. We'll see. I have no plans for a next one right now. That could change.
Okay,
All right, ma'am. You know, a world without a Connie Briscoe book, I just don't want to know it.
that's a good
It
way
has
to
to
put
be over at some point.
it.
Plenty for you to go back and read. The
This
12
is
books.
true. This is true. I understand. But you know, sometimes yeah, you have to know when to just hang up your pen and just enjoy reading somebody else's book.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to do. I want to have time to sit down and read all these other wonderful books coming out. You have someone coming on who is into scuba diving and did something for National Geographic related to
Mhm.
scuba diving. I want to take the time to be able to read those books by others. And also, I am working, as I said, I have a blog on Substack, and that takes a lot of time too. And I'm enjoying it because I can write about what I want to write about. One week I can write about one thing, the next week I can write about something else. The focus is on helping others become authors, mainly novelists, but others who want to become writers. And so I'm enjoying that. We'll see how that goes.
Okay. Well, in our closing couple of minutes, if you wanted to give some advice to not only aspiring authors, but those authors who've been writing for a while and they may be reaching stumbling blocks or they're not sure how to move forward, how to continue. What's some advice you would give them as a very established? Because I don't know, are all of your books through major publishers?
Yes, what they call the big five.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought.
Yes.
That's what I thought. And so you were able to maintain a career for 20 plus
I
years.
was very fortunate. I came in during that I would call the Terry McMillan era, where, she had such huge success and all the publishers were looking for the next Terry McMillan. So books were being published right and left. You would go to book signings, and sometimes I toured for months at a time. You would go to book signings, and 200 people were waiting for you. This was another Black literary renaissance, I guess you could
I
call it.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I was a part of that. I was very fortunate to be a part of that. It's still fairly good for Black authors. It's not what it was back then. I was fortunate to be in on that. And after a while, some personal things happened. I got a little bit of burnout and I left the publishing scene for a number of years and then came back just before COVID. COVID set me back there. But yeah, I've been fortunate. I think I've had my run pretty
Well,
much.
I'll tell you, you had a great run. I remember years ago having you sign a book at I believe it was at the Essence Book Festival.
Okay,
Excuse me, Essence Music Festival.
I've been
Um,
there, yeah. It's
yeah,
at
I remember standing in line and having you sign my book there, and to now be able to interview you on this show is an honor for me. So you're one of the inspirations of this industry.
Yeah.
So even if you never write again, you've made an amazing impact on the industry. And so I want to publicly thank you for all you've done.
thank
And if
you
you
for
decide
saying
that you want to hang up your pen, I totally understand. I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
I love your books,
flattered.
but I definitely understand.
I'm flattered. Thank you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be writing my little blog. But yeah, as far as fiction, I
Okay.
have to write. There will always be something that I'm writing, but just not. Maybe novels are a huge undertaking. You're
Hmm.
talking months, if not
This
years
is true.
of your life. And you don't know how the public is going to take to it. You don't know if they're going to love it, if they're going to hate it, if they're going to be neutral toward it. You do it because you love to write. You have a message or something you want to say, but it has its ups and downs, and it can be painstaking. It can be rewarding. I'm getting on in years. I don't, I don't want to. That's not the kind of life I want right now. So yeah, I probably will be stepping back after
Understood.
after this one. Yeah, trying some other
Understood.
things, doing some more traveling, enjoying reading, enjoying my friends. Yeah, yeah. When you write, and that's the thing about writing. When you write, that has to take up a huge part of your focus, because the publishers, if you're with one of the big five and they believe in your work, and I'm fortunate that I've been in this position, they want it yesterday.
Hmm.
So, you've always got, you think you write because you don't want to have someone breathing down your neck, a boss breathing down your neck, saying you got to get this done by this date. Well, you do. You have the publishers, they want you to get things done within a certain amount of time. I mean, I understand it. It's a business, but never forget it's a business. So,
Okay, well, that's some sage advice for all the aspiring authors, established
Yes.
authors, future authors, um, from the great Connie Briscoe. So thank you so much, Connie, for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV.
thank you. Thank you for having me once again, and hopefully I'll see you again for something in the future. I want to come back to a couple of authors you're having that I want to come back and visit with.
Oh, well,
Sign out and then come back to the Facebook page.
yes, you sign
Yes.
out from Zoom and just watch it on Facebook. It's live on Facebook.
Okay, all right. Thanks
Okay,
for having me.
you're welcome.
Thank you. You have a great night.
You too. Have a good night.